Here we go. Chapter 6, The Truth About Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison's first name is George. I know Mr. Harrison's real name, I told everybody after I handed back the wallet and he left. What is it? Ryan asked. His name is... I'm not telling you. Come on, AJ, Michael said. Spill the beans. I'll be your best friend, said Neil, the nude kid. Arlo, what is Mr. Harrison's first name? It's George, I said. George? Asked Alexia. Well, that's not a weird name. I wonder why he wouldn't tell us his name was George, asked Michael. George Harrison. Huh. Wait a minute, said Andrea. George Harrison was somebody famous. He was one of the Beatles. One of the what? Asked Neil, the nude kid. You know, that old rock group, said Michael. Oh, yeah. My parents told me about the Beatles, and I played this video game called Rock Band where you get to play Beatles songs, and it was cool. Everybody knows who the Beatles are. Mr. Harrison was one of the Beatles? Asked Michael. Wait a minute, Andrea said. George Harrison of the Beatles died a long time ago. He must have faked his death, I said. Famous people do that all the time, you know. That doesn't make any sense, AJ, said Michael. Why would a big rock star fake his death and get a job as a tech guy in a school? He maybe hated being famous, I said. Celebrities get sick of signing autographs and having people take pictures of them all the time. He must be hiding out in our school so his fans won't bother him. Being a nerdy tech guy would be a perfect disguise, said Alexia. But Mr. Harrison doesn't look anything like the other George Harrison, Andrea said. I've seen pictures of him. Have you ever heard of plastic surgery? I asked her. And he obviously dyed his hair blonde so he would look completely different. He did not. Did too. He did not. He did too. We went back and forth like that for a while. But guess who came back in the vomitorium at that moment? It was Mr. Harrison. It's time for the big birthday celebration, he said, all excited. If you want some cake, you need to go to the all-purpose room right away. I love cake. I was about to run out of the vomitorium, but Mr. Harrison grabbed me. Whoa, not so fast, AJ. It's slippery in here. You might fall down and get hurt. I want to hold your hand. What? I looked at Alexia, and Alexia looked at Ryan. Ryan looked at Michael, and Michael looked at Andrea. Neil looked at me, and we all mouthed the same words. Want to hold your hand? See? I told you that Mr. Harrison was one of the Beatles. Chapter 7. The weirdest thing in the history of the world. We wanted to ask Mr. Harrison if he was one of the Beatles, but there was no time. We had to rush to the all-purpose room for the big birthday celebration. I was right behind Alexia. When we got there, a giant cake was on the stage. And I mean giant. There must have been enough cake for everybody in the whole school to have a piece. And it was covered with candles. I guess there were 90 of them for Miss Mentry's birthday. Mr. Harrison went up on stage and started lighting them all. I saw Mayor Hubble talking to Mr. Klutz at the front of the room. Some guys were carrying around a big TV camera. I didn't see Miss Elementary anywhere, though. Before we could sit down, a lady I never saw before grabbed me by the arm. She was wearing a hat that said press on it, and she pulled out a pad and a pen. My name is Mrs. Lilly, she said. I work for the News Tribune Bulletin Inquirer. Can I ask you kids a few questions? Sure, Alexia and I replied. What's your name, young man? My name is AJ and I hate school. Hello, little lady, said Miss Lilly. What's your name? My name is AJ and I hate school. Wait, both of you are named AJ? She asked us. Yeah. Both of you hate school? Yeah. Tell me why. I need to get a scoop for my paper. Why do you need a scoop? I asked. Did your dog make a poop somewhere? No, I mean, I'm here to get the real story about elementary school. I want the story behind the story, Miss Lily said. Well, the teachers here are all crazy, Alexia told her. Is that so? Miss Lily asked. Tell me more, as she jotted down notes in her pad. Our teacher, Mr. Granite, is from another planet. He built a spaceship powered by potatoes so he could go home. But a cow bumped into it and crashed it onto the playground. Interesting, she was writing on her pad. Hey, can we press your hat? Asked Alexia. Why do you want to press my hat? Because it says press on it. Duh, I told her. Yeah, Mrs. Lily is a little silly. She wanted to ask us more questions, but Mr. Klutz made a peace sign, so we all had to shut up. Take a seat, AJ, he said. I can't, I said. All the seats are screwed to the floor. He means sit down, Alexia told me. Oh, I knew that. Some people might say elementary school is old, Mr. Klutz announced into the microphone. Some people say it's fallen apart. Not me. Our school has character. Our school has history. Our school has blah, 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 blah. Mr. Clutch's speech was really boring, and then Mayor Hubble got up to speak, and it was more blah, 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 blah. I thought I was going to die. And now I would like to introduce our honored guest of the day, Mayor Hubble said. Mrs. Ella Mentry. Now, Mrs. Mentry is really old, and she came toddling out on the stage with a cane, and she is tiny. She's about the size of R2-D2 in Star Wars. Mr. Klutz adjusted the microphone so she could reach it. I'm so happy our school was named after me. Because when you get to be my age, you forget things. And if I ever forget my name, I can just walk down the street and see it in big letters on the side of the school. We weren't sure if elementary was making a joke or not, but we all laughed just to be on the safe side. You say it's your birthday? It's my birthday too, said Mrs. Mentry. Everybody cheered, and she went behind the giant birthday cake and started to sing happy birthday, and the whole school joined in. It was loud. When the song was over, Mrs. Mentry started to blow out the candles. There were like 1,100,000 of them. I thought she was going to pass out. She was in the middle of blowing out the candles when the weirdest thing in the history of the world happened. But I'm not going to tell you what it was. Okay, I'll tell you. All the lights went out. Chapter 8. Freaking out. All right, guys, I will see you later. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye.